We've seen this story play out at Portman Road many times. Sometimes it has a happy ending, like the Cambridge game. Others it has a disappointing ending, like the Lincoln game. And today we've had one to file in the disappointing column, haven't we? With a 1-1 home draw with Cheltenham.
Yeah, that's important to note actually off the bat, that there's been more good days than bad at Portman Road. The record here has been very good under McKenna. But yeah, this is another Lincoln type of game today where Ipswich Town have absolutely battered Cheltenham, almost from start to finish, and somehow it's ended 1-1.
It has. There's plenty of good to talk about. Ipswich controlled this game. We knew they'd control this game. We knew they'd have 70-odd% possession, and it ended up being so. But what they managed to do, and why this one feels so frustrating, I think, is there was an early goal. They scored the early goal, and that's such a big hurdle for Ipswich to overcome in these games against teams who we know are going to come here and sit deep and try and defend. You break them down early and you score early, Ipswich should be cruising. And they, from 9 minutes when Luke Wolfenden tapped home a Leif Davis corner, flicked on by Wes Burns, you had to really think that from that point onwards this was Ipswich Town's game.
That's the big frustration for me. It was more than half the job done getting that goal in the 9th minute, because Cheltenham came here off the back of an embarrassing FA Cup defeat to Ipswich. They had 4 key players out injured, including their talisman Alfie May, 5 at the back, 4 in midfield in front of them. The pattern became pretty clear inside those opening few minutes. But Ipswich got the goal, and inside 10 minutes, and from there you thought, wow, this could be, the floodgates could open here, because for the next 20 minutes it was wave after wave of attack, it was corner after corner, big chances, but one wouldn't fall.
Yeah, they were playing really, really well. Sam Morsey's performance, just as picking out one player, I thought was immaculate for half an hour of this game. Everything he touched was pinpoint, was perfect. They had more control of the ball than they had done at times. Like Marcus Harness, I thought, was actually in control of the ball a lot more than he had been. They were moving it from flank to flank. Leif Davis was getting overloads. There was the moment where Janoy Donatian, who sadly this was his last act of the game, but marauding run up to the edge of the box, and then Harness thumping one off the underside of the crossbar. Wes Burns they were making space for, but then one team error, of which was made up of some individual errors too. There's an equaliser, and from then we're back to the start, and it's all starting again.
Yeah, Harness's shot, I think, hits the line, comes down off the bar. We don't have goal line tech at this level. Hard to tell from the replays, but I don't think that crossed the line. So millimetres away from it being 2-0. And then Cheltenham just scored complete bolt from the blue, and Ipswich just switched off wide open space down the left. Leif Davis is tucked in too narrow, Marcus Harness is too high, loads of space for Ryan Broom. And all that being said, Christian Walton cannot be beaten at his near post from that sort of angle. Ball squirms under him. He'd had a disappointing afternoon at Charlton, a man who we've been waxing lyrical about being the best goalkeeper in this division for quite a long time. He's had another bad error there. And 1-1. And then Cheltenham nearly go and score again moments later. A ball flashed across the box for Ipswich. And they'd not been in the game at all at that point. And all of a sudden, they'd nearly turned the game on its head. But Ipswich respond quite well from that, don't they?
A few shaky minutes. I think it rattled Ipswich a little bit, that goal, for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and it included that chance that you just mentioned. But from there, reset, back on it, off you go again. Got in the half time, it was level, and then so you've got a list in front of you.
Before we've mentioned a few of the chances, even at 1-0, Kane Vincent-Young has a shot saved at the near post. George Edmondson had a flicked header from a corner, really good save. Cameron Humphreys missed a really good chance just before half-time. It was 1-1 at that stage. Goalkeeper sort of palmed a cross out to him. He just had to lift it over him, and he put it straight into the goalkeeper, who was lying prone on the floor. And that theme sort of continued in the second half. There was players lunging in and making blocks in the box. There was a few penalty appeals for handballs along the way. Ipswich kept knocking on the door all the way up to stoppage time, where Panucci Kamara comes on and hits the inside of the post when a shot looked destined for the top corner, didn't it?
Well, he thought he'd scored, didn't he? He was already moving away to celebrate that.
Yeah. And then even after that, delicious cross from Kyle Edwards that was inches away from Kamara on the stretch as well. So you could argue Ipswich did everything but score. And Kieran McKenna sat here and said there's so many positives to take away from this. We talked about that first 30 minutes. He thinks that was the best 30 minutes that Ipswich have played under his man management. So it's a really hard one to reflect on, because you could quickly just say, well, they did everything but score, and on another day they win that game easily. But there's a little bit of a theme appearing there, isn't there, in terms of this isn't the first time, so hard one to judge.
Yeah, it is. Like, I don't know, there's the expression 9 times out of 10 Ipswich would win this game, but they've played this game a few times this season, and they haven't won it quite a few times. Like, same with the Lincoln game, same with the how it played out at Charlton. They're all kind of 9 times out of 10 Ipswich would win this game. So they're starting to add up a little bit.
Yeah, in the same way that you could talk about the Charlton game going, well, you know, it was just one of those days, but then you go, well, hang on a minute, they've let a 2-goal lead slip against Sheffield Wednesday, they've let a 2-goal lead slip against Port Vale. So when it starts to happen the second or the third time, you have to start looking at it and thinking, why? Why is that happening? And if there's one man that will properly pick the bones out of it and analyse it, we know it will be Kieran McKenna. And
they have to too, because this won't be the last time we talk. I don't think this is the last time we're going to be doing one of these videos after a game like that. Hopefully, the next time it has the Cambridge ending, the happy ending, where Town's dominance and superiority in the game converts to 3 points. Too many more times these add up. Like, they have to sort it out. They have to. It's incredibly difficult, because we are sitting here talking about they did everything but score. So this is incredibly simplistic, but also incredibly difficult to find an answer to. It's not a disaster. Ipswich is still a very, very good football team, and Ipswich is still going to be firmly in this promotion hunt. But just how firmly they're in it might depend on how they deal with more of these games down the track, because there will be more of them.
Yeah, I'm okay with it today a little bit, because I do think it is just a day where they could and should have scored goals. I think it's far too simplistic to start going, we'll sign a striker in January and that will fix all the problems. Freddie Ladapo's not the one that's missed a ton of chances today, is he? I'm sure they will strengthen in January, and we've had some bad injury news today with the news that Don Ball's out for the season now with a knee injury. Tyrese John-Jules is going to be out for weeks/months with a hamstring issue. So the squad's getting a little bit stretched. I think today was a reminder that Ipswich's bench isn't quite as power-packed as it was earlier in the season. When you're frustrated in games like this, Ipswich could turn to fresh legs of Greg Lee, Shawnee Aluko, no Tyrese John-Jules on the bench today. So just starting to lose a few of those little options that will enable them to step up a gear in the final half an hour.
Yeah, I guess days like today when you miss out the most, aren't they? Where you do need to change step a little bit and find a new way. I thought Kyle Edwards, when he came on, was actually really quite good. I enjoyed watching him today. That ball you mentioned earlier, delicious is the word, Stu. You picked the correct word there. I thought he looked dangerous. But beyond that, you're not quite the game changers there anymore, is there? And there's still a long way to go in this season.